Welcome, everyone, to our first episode of Hire Her with Talent Collective. I'm joined here with my co-founder, Krista Tan, and I'm Natalie Stones, one of the co-founders of Talent Collective, and we're so excited to be here launching our very first podcast with our very first episode and our very first guest. So this will be rough in the beginning, but it's going to be super fun. Krista, do you want to say a quick hello?
I was going to say this is going to be so fun and exciting. Not rough. Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Tan, and very, very excited to be here with you today. Welcome to our new podcast.
Yes. See, here we go. No. So why did we start this podcast? We have been talking for a while about just how amazing our community is and how it's just really taken off, and how much we're bringing to women in talent. And along our journey, we've just met so many amazing and inspiring women along the way. And we get the opportunity, Krista and I, to meet many of them throughout the community, those that are our members, or they're our guest speakers, or they are our sponsors, or they're just really influential people in the space. And so we thought, well, we should be bringing those faces and those stories to the limelight, and we can't do enough of that within the membership community. And so we thought, why not start Hire Her and host conversations with other inspiring women in talent and be able to share those with you all. So we're very honored to have our first guest be one of our founding members, Larissa. She's joining us today. She is our founding member, helps us here in the Bay Area, and she is our brand ambassador. She leads the charge here in the San Francisco Bay Area community. And we'd love for you to introduce yourself to the rest of the world.
Hi, Larissa Gerlach. Nice to meet everybody and super excited. I feel a major honor to be the first episode, first guest. I better not screw it up. Been listening to both of you killing it on the podcast circuit on so many different episodes, and it just feels amazing to be like, yes, you're doing it on your own now.
So true. We have been around the circuit, and people are probably tired of hearing our voices, right? So this is great. We get to be on a podcast, but with other people. So tell us more about you. What is your background? Where do you live? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, big surprise. I'm a recruiter. Bet you couldn't guess. I have lived in California actually now almost 9 years. I feel like for whatever reason, August now is making me feel like I have to switch from 8 years to 9 years. October will be 9 years. And originally from the New York area, I moved out here to be closer to my husband's family and friends and all the things, but let's be real, also the weather. I got into recruiting, I always say almost 15 years. And if you can't see me, I am putting quote marks in the air. The truth really is it's 13 and a half years, and I just round it up. I fell into recruiting, but I love it so much. And what else about me? I am a sister. I'm a daughter. I am a dog mom. I am an avid Pelotoner, which you can kind of see in the corner of my video. But I think, most of all, I love my career and I love working in recruiting. I love TA.
And you're also a recent founder yourself.
Well, yes. You guys are going to laugh at this. Somebody said this to me earlier today, and it was so sweet of him, but it's just not my personality at all. He was like, you are a founder and you have 25,000 followers and you're a whatever leading voice on LinkedIn. You're killing it. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just doing the thing, right? Uh-huh. But yes, I recently founded my company called the Vibrant Talent Group. Started in January. Our focus is primarily in marketing, advertising, and creative recruiting.
Very nice. Founder journeys are not for the faint of heart. So we're so happy you're on this journey with us. And I don't know how you have time to actually like help us, lead a community here in the Bay Area while running a business. So we very much appreciate your time that you dedicate to us. So as part of our podcast format, we have some like really exciting questions that we want to ask our guests about really their journey in recruiting, really cool stories about inspiration that came across your desk. So we're going to be popcorning some questions to you. I hope you're ready for some rapid fire.
Let's do it.
So how did you get into TA? When did it all begin? Where did you start?
I was thinking about this because, I think all three of us have talked a little bit about this, but I was like, well, I'll tell like the real full story. So my background is that I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. I have a degree, really like a fashion business degree, excuse me. And so I started my career in what would be considered like account management on the wholesale side of things. I sold into the buyers of Bloomingdale's and Macy's, as well as smaller boutiques. I did a lot of travel, and what I loved about it is that I loved being in front of people, and I loved being around like the creative aspect of it. A lot of the companies I worked for, like the design team sat on the same floor as me. I got to see.
Hi, I'm George Larocque, and I'm looking forward to exploring the critical trends shaping the future of work and technology with you over on the Work Tech podcast. Now, this podcast is a little different. I bring together industry leaders, innovators, and investors, and we go deep into market intelligence that matters to HR pros and tech providers alike. So give the Work Tech podcast a listen here on the Work Defined Podcast Network, and please subscribe if you like it. See you there.
All of it on a day-to-day basis and be really close to it. Not to mention I got like awesome discounts and free clothes. So, but I graduated right before 2008. We all know what happened. I lost my job early 2009. I struggled to find my next job. I got a contract job. Then I landed into another role. And long story short, I kind of bounced around in a lot of roles in a very short period of time because of the economy. And I started to just be like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, this feels not great. I think we can all maybe reflect on this in any of our careers, is that I started to look around and not really want anyone else's job. Like, I didn't want to get promoted. And I knew that was not a good sign. And for better or worse, my mom was like, what are you doing? But my boyfriend at the time, who's my husband now, got a job in Washington, D.C. And I just like jumped on board and was like, I'm going to move to D.C. And I quit my job and I found this job, which was like fashion adjacent, selling candles. Similar idea, though, is selling to the buyers of like Target and Bed Bath & Beyond. And again, like a lot of travel. But instead of carrying around clothing samples, I was carrying around candles, which like, it's just like hilarious. But again, like it was actually really cool. Like I know the process of like how candles made, and no, it's not just like the wax, but like the scent and all that stuff. But what I knew moving to DC was that I wanted to get out of fashion. I wanted to get out of like this retail world. And so immediately, even though I had that like candle job, I started to just interview. And my interview, I look back and like every time I would interview, I'd just be like, I don't know, I really like working with people. Like I love the creative space. At the time, I got sucked into like a lot of Excel work because you have to look at every single week the retailers like sell-throughs, and we talked a lot about like markdowns, blah, blah, blah. So at the time I was like, I could do anything in numbers, like love a good VLOOKUP, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I initially interviewed at a recruiting firm that like turned it back on me. I was like, would you ever be a recruiter? And it's like, hell no. And I was so pissed about it. And I got home to my boyfriend. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm just looking for a job. Like, and he's like, okay, well, maybe you should start thinking about it. And then I did. And I was like, well, maybe I do. And I remember then I applied to this other recruiting firm. It was like a small shop, which I had no frame of reference at the time, right? Because I had not been in one before. But it was really, I look back, they had this binder of all of their jobs, and everyone had a binder at their desk. And it had like, all the job description. It had like information about what their offices looked like and their culture and blah, blah, blah. And I remember my second interview with them, they said, okay, you're going to sit in this room and we're going to be in the other room and we're going to pretend we're a candidate and you're going to pitch the job to us. So anyways, I technically actually got that job, but I was not excited by it because it was like admin and there's like a bunch of like accounting roles that they filled. And I was just like, oh, it's so boring to me. But as I started to interview, long story short, how I landed into it is my first job was at Creative Circle, which I didn't know anything about advertising at the time, but that is Creative Circle's primary focus is in advertising and marketing. It was a fantastic first recruiting job to have, got thrown into it, but learned a lot, right? And we integrated ourselves really like into the DC advertising market. At that point, I was pretty much in every, I had been in every advertising office, over those years I was there. I got a chance to pretty much, I knew all of the senior leadership in the DC area in that space. And I like, probably not surprising, got myself like super integrated into like the ad club and like all that stuff. And it was just like a great first job. And it was a great way to land in something that I didn't know. But again, like coming back, I think at the time it felt like such a random change. But the truth is that surprising as I'm chatting my way around is I just like being in front of people. And I've really enjoyed, I'll be honest with you, I've always worked on the agency side and I've always enjoyed the commission aspect of it. I love that I can work harder and make more money. And I've always been really driven that way. I have only had one job in my entire career that hasn't been commission based. And I guess now not exactly commission, but it's still right. Like I'm still being driven by money. And I think sometimes it feels like a dirty word, but for me, it's been a big focus for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Krista,
yeah.
Remember our file folders we used to have?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Going through those files to find candidates. Yes, those were the days before digital. Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know if you guys had this, but we had to like do write-ups on every single one of our candidates. And we would have, right, like this, like it would be like a stack, right? Because they'd come into the office and they'd fill out their application and then they'd fill out their W-4 and like blah, 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 right? And then you would just have this like stack, like my handwritten notes from their interview, their notes, their resume, all that stuff. I mean, it was totally, you look back and you're like, this is terrible. Like we had their like social security number just sitting on our desk. Like, right. I mean, it was just terrible. Like,
no,
that's
never.
it. And then like, we would file that away. It's not like, what did we do with those papers? We would like file them away and we had like an entire wall of files. Yeah.
Oh, I remember those days well. Good thing we're digital now. Feels a lot better to hopefully be secure, right? Somewhere in the cloud.
Yeah.
Well, Larissa, that was such a neat story. Thank you for sharing with us. I do think this industry is just perfect for you and for so many reasons. And, going back to you being a people person, but you are just so driven. You have so much grit. And that's one of the things that I definitely admire about you. So tell us, our next question here, what is a story that you'd like to share with everyone about, one of those like key moments where you place someone that's just like the best, right? The best memory you have of placing someone at maybe a client of yours.
Yeah. I actually wrote down something else. I was just preparing for this and now I'm just going to change my answer. It's like something else just popped in my head. I'm sure we all have so many great stories. And when you've been recruiting this long, it's like, how could you just pick one story? And then also, I don't know how everyone else feels, but you also like your brain immediately goes to like the crazy, ridiculous things that have happened. Like, you never think about like all these positive things. Instead, you're just like, oh, people are crazy. But I am actually going to go back to somebody that I have been working with literally since my like first year of Creative Circle. So my first year recruiting, I placed him in as a project manager. It was a contract role. It was like for 6 months at an ad agency. He was pretty early on in his career at that point. And I have stayed in touch with him. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I talked to him last week. And what has just made me so happy about that placement is he, from day one, but especially now, like he sees me as his advisor. He sees me as a friend. He sees me as like I am everything to him. Like I know everything about his family and his wife, and honestly, the ups and downs of everything that we've gone through, from COVID to having to move to losing jobs and so on and so forth. It's just like for him, and he was reflecting on this recently, which was just so sweet, is like, he was like, I would have never even gotten into project management. I'd never be where I am right now if you didn't call me for that contract role and encourage me to interview for it. All three of us have recruited in contract and freelance before. And like, I'm positive we've all been taught like these, like, you know, all the role plays and like how to get somebody to be comfortable with freelance versus taking a full-time role. And I did all the things with them, right? Like, you never know where things are going to land and what's going to happen, blah, 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 you know, all those things that we used to say. But it's funny because, I mean, he had a better memory of it than I did. He was like, I still remember you telling me that, like, just take it for now. Like, you can continue to interview for full-time roles. Like, you never know where it will go. And he's like, here I am, still bothering you, Larissa. Like, he saved my phone. He texted me pictures at Christmas and all sorts of stuff. So anyways, for me, and like, you know, going out on my own, starting Vibrant Talent, a big focus for me is that I feel very strongly that recruiting and talent acquisition as a whole, it's a people first industry, right? And I think it's all about the relationships and the respect and the trust that you build with your clients and your candidates. So for me, the reason that it's a favorite story is that like, he really trusts me.
Yeah. Great one. Thank you.
I remember some of those stories we had, Krista.
Yeah. Tons.
People. I mean, I wouldn't be in recruiting if it wasn't for Krista.
Really?
I called her and I invited
you con her into it?
I conned her into it. It wasn't a contract role though, but that is the beauty of contract recruiting for contract, right? Because it can literally change someone's life.
Yes.
So great.
Yes. Okay, Larissa. Next question is who has helped elevate you in your recruiting career? Is there that one standout person? We'd love to hear a story if there's like another inspiring woman, perhaps, that really helped elevate you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Libby DeLucian. If you're sick of business advice that sounds cute but doesn't actually move the needle forward, this one's for you. The Libby DeLucian podcast is where we go one layer deep. No gurus, no glitter, just straight up unfiltered talk about scaling a business, running a household, and holding on to your sanity in the middle of the chaos. If you're the bottleneck in your business or in your own life, I'll show you how to fix it. Simple, tactical, and one layer deep every time. Let's go. Visit libbyd.com and check out our podcast today.
Okay, so like so many people went through my head for this answer. And also we have another question after this, that like the empowering woman. So I really wanted to pick somebody individual for that. So I promise I will speak to somebody very specific, but overall, so like there's been so many different instances of women that have elevated my recruiting career. And I'm not going to get cheesy, but I'm going to, is that both of you, like I like flashback last year, June 2024 or 2023, right? And like I show up to this like first, Talent Collective in-person event, and I did not know anybody. And I just decided, like, I'm going to go for it, right? Like, I really want to start my own thing. I can't tell anybody at my current company.
Mhm.
And I don't really have a lot of, like, I just didn't have, like, a lot of people to talk about to it other than, like, you know, friends and family. And so I just started to put it out there. I think I said it to every person at that event that asked me, right? I was like, well, this is what I'm currently doing, but I'm in the midst of, like, I want to go out on my own. And because of both of you, like, I had accountability partners. Like, I had people every time I came to an event, and every time I was on a webinar or anything like that, you both were like, so what's happening? What's going on? Right? Like, where can we help you? And it was like that push that I needed. What actually really stands out in my head is Natalie in an event that we were at, and I don't know if I say the company or not, but we were at an event that was hosted, and it was a fairly small group. So she just said, everybody around the room, like, tell us who you are and what your story is and blah, blah, blah. And like, it was literally like the week that I had launched, and I hadn't said it out loud to anybody yet. Or no, actually, I'm sorry. It was the week between quitting my job and then officially launching. I hadn't said it out loud to anybody yet. And like having that forum and that place to say, like, I'm a business owner and I've started my own business, and like, I truly, like, where would I have had that opportunity? And I've told a lot of people that story now. Natalie, like, it's the truth. Like, and we talk about, like, you know, women supporting women, and you both have just been so incredibly supportive. So I can name other people.
I wasn't expecting to cry on the first one.
No, but it's the truth. Like, there's a reason I've leaned in, right? There's a reason why why you have my, like, undivided attention.
I remember that event, and like, I was such a nerd. I was like, can I help you make your website? And then, like, last week I was like, can I help you with your QuickBooks? Like, I want to make sure you know how to, like, do all the things to be a boss lady. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Larissa. That is such a compliment. And I did want to share, and you just said it, but you were at our first event. You were one of our very first members. So thank you for believing in us as well. So last question here. You alluded to it earlier, but who do you find to be a really empowering woman in the recruiting industry?
Yeah. So for me, I went to the woman that founded the second recruiting firm that I worked for, which was called 24/7. Her name is Celeste Gudis, and Celeste founded 24/7 in 2000. So it's been around for 24 years now. And she started the recruiting firm with basically one goal, which was empowering women. And she felt very strongly that women should, like, she's always been this way, and I loved her about it. Like, we don't need no man, right? Like, I don't need a man to support me. I can do everything on my own, right? And like, for her, she was like, I want to start a company that is going to be supportive of women and put women financially in a place that they can run their own lives, and they do not need to support, or they don't need to lean on anybody else. And so she's done that from day one. I would say, even if you looked into the company today, it's probably 80% women. And I was just always so impressed with her. She has 3 children. She had her kids basically the same year that she started 24/7. And so seeing, at the time when I was there, her kids were in high school. They're at this point, they're now graduated from college, but to see that she was able to raise 3 children in New York City, and grow a company to, when I was there, 13 offices, well over several hundred employees, multi-million-dollar agency. Listed on like the top 10 recruiting firms in the country, like all sorts of stuff. Just seeing what she was able to accomplish. But she also honestly was still really involved when I was there. And I still had a lot of FaceTime with her. And she is actually the reason why I didn't make commission for a couple of years, because she came to me and elevated me and said, "You're freaking killing it at my company. I want you to train the rest of my company on how you do it." Which was like, I would never, for what she did for me, but I think what she has done for so many women, it's really unbelievable. I think too, it speaks a lot to Celeste. There are still women that are at 24/7 that started with her that first couple of years, and they're still there. She's promoted them. She's allowed them to take on all sorts of different roles. Some have left to, for a couple of years and then come back after their kids were a little bit older, and has just really been, she's incredibly supportive when it comes to work-life balance, putting your family first, but being able to still effing kill it from a financial perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to swear on this podcast.
Yeah, I think we should be able to swear. This is our podcast. We can do whatever we want, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Larissa. This was such a fun conversation. Thank you for being our very first guest. And thank you, everyone, for joining us with Hire Her today. And we can't wait to see you in the next one. Yeah.